Grief is a really funny thing. It rarely looks like what you expect it to, and it rarely shows up when you expect it to. Over the last 4-ish years, since about 2018, I've been dealing with a lot of different griefs, and I was wondering why it seems like they're so much harder right now, why it seems like I feel them so much more. And I mean, I lived for a lot of the stuff I'm grieving is stuff that happened years ago, and it impacts me in the present day, but it wasn't a recent thing. I experienced childhood sexual abuse when I was a teenager. That's over 25 years ago now, and it doesn't seem like it should be so impactful in my life, and yet it is. It impacts every single day. I have complex PTSD from it, and I think my migraines are largely a result of years and years of carrying that stress. But I realized the thing about grief is that if you're in a space where you are surviving, you really can't experience grief and you can't move through it. It's a lot like a mom who sees that her child is being crushed under a car and she tosses the car off. You know, we've heard those stories of people who have suddenly superhuman strength, or the soldier who's on the battlefield and who, you know, or in the sword fighting days when we used to do sword fights and got stabbed and kept going and kept fighting. And when they finally got him off the field, that's when the blood started flowing. And the fact is, if you're in a space where you are surviving, you are not going to be able to experience grief. You're not going to be able to move through it because you have that adrenaline thing going on. And so it's not until you get to a safe space, which for me has only been in the last few years, when you can really start to experience it. And so it's interesting, and it's also really hard, because there are things that years ago I would have just moved past and kept going, wouldn't have stopped me. And now I feel like I feel everything so much more because I'm actually allowed to feel. For years I wasn't. I had to survive, and so I couldn't feel how awful things were. And so it's a hard space to be in. So if you find yourself in that grief space today, I want to encourage you to give yourself space to feel. It won't always be as heavy and as difficult as it is right now. It does get better. I'm seeing it get better, and it's slow and it's tedious, but it's so worth it to be able to be free of the carrying it in my body subconsciously. So I hope that encourages you if you're in that space today.